we're starring in a new Karate Kid movie together.
That's big news.
That's right, you heard it correctly. Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan are both starring in a new Karate Kid movie, and I've got all the details, a few speculations, and everything that we know so far as to how this connects to Cobra Kai. So let's get into everything we know so far about the next Karate Kid movie.
Sweep the leg.
Last year, the internet exploded from everything that happened at the conclusion of Season 5 of Cobra Kai on Netflix. Sony Pictures announced that the Cobra Kai series would end in Season 6, but that Season 6 was setting up at least one spin-off series. And there was also an even bigger announcement that Sony Pictures was working on a soft reboot to the Karate Kid movies. Now, at the time, details were scarce. The film was expected to continue the legacy of the original Karate Kid franchise, which hadn't seen a theatrical release in almost 30 years since 1994's The Next Karate Kid, starring Pat Morita as Mr. Miyagi and Hilary Swank as that movie's Karate Kid. There were some speculations about whether or not the movie would continue the storyline set up in Cobra Kai, but everything that I read last year around that announcement was that it would not. Everything that I was reading said that this would be in some alternate universe that picks up where the movies left off, but it had nothing to do with the storyline in Cobra Kai. And there was even a tweet from one of the Cobra Kai showrunners confirming that the new movie had nothing to do with the Cobra Kai cast. Well, since last year's announcement regarding the soft reboot of the Karate Kid movies, things have changed, and we have more details and a lot of things to speculate on regarding the direction of the next Karate Kid movie. So that brings us back to last week's huge announcement. Ralph Macchio, the original Karate Kid, is teaming up with Jackie Chan, who played Mr. Han, the Mr. Miyagi character from the 2010 Karate Kid remake starring Jaden Smith. The Chinese version of that film is called Kungfu Dream, so I'm going to refer to the 2010 Karate Kid movie as Kungfu Dream, just to keep you guys from getting confused with the Miyagi-verse Karate Kid movies. Now, in the announcement, we learned that there is a new Karate Kid movie coming, along with the fact that there is a worldwide search in progress to find the next Karate Kid who will star in the film. Originally, the movie was going to come out in June of 2024, but everything has been pushed back because of the strikes in Hollywood, and the movie is now scheduled for release on December 13th, 2024. There's already a script in place written by Rob Lieber, and it will be directed by Jonathan Entwistle, so all of the behind-the-scenes stuff was already completed. At this point, it sounds like they just need to complete the casting process and then go make the movie. Since we're talking about making the movie, that raises the question as to what is going to happen in this movie. What kind of story can they tell beyond the obvious Karate Kid story? You know, where you have a young person who has some kind of problem and they're being taken in by a mentor who teaches them a solution to their problems through their martial arts lessons. Well, we know that this movie is going to bridge the gap between the 4 Karate Kid movies and Kung Fu Dream. According to the casting notice, the new movie will feature a new character named Li Fong, who is Chinese or mixed race Chinese, aged between 15 to 17 years old and speaks fluent English. The casting notice also says conversational Mandarin is a strong plus. He's smart, scrappy, and a skilled martial artist. So it sounds to me that they are looking specifically for a kid who is half Chinese or can pull off looking mixed and speaks fluent English with a wushu background. That would make sense because the assumption is that the next Karate Kid is a teenager from China who was studying under Jackie Chan's Mr. Han, but has to relocate from the West Coast to the East Coast. Right now, it's not really clear how Daniel LaRusso fits into any of this, but like I said, we have very limited details about the movie right now. Now, something that I do find interesting, though, is that in the Karate Kid movies, you always start with an outsider who doesn't really know anything as far as martial arts. But with this movie, it sounds like the new Karate Kid already comes in having studied with Mr. Han. So I guess when they meet Daniel LaRusso, well, they've already been studying Kung Fu for a while. And this movie could be really different from the previous Karate Kid movies and even what we've seen in Cobra Kai. And since I mentioned Cobra Kai, the question that everyone is asking is, well, how does this fit in with the new Karate Kid movie? Well, like I mentioned earlier, one of the showrunners from Cobra Kai posted on Twitter that when the movie was first announced, that none of the young people cast in Cobra Kai are involved with the movie at all. Now, this hasn't stopped people from making speculations about a connection to Cobra Kai. I'm reading all kinds of theories online about how Jackie Chan will definitely have to appear in season 6 of Cobra Kai, possibly at the World Tournament where Daniel and Johnny's students will be competing. The thing is that the showrunner said a few years back that Kungfu Dream is not part of the Miyagi-verse, as they're calling it. When they say the Miyagi-verse, they're talking about the 4 Karate Kid movies and then the 5 seasons that we have so far of Cobra Kai. In their Miyagi-verse, they said that Jackie Chan is not Mr. Han who taught Dre Parker Kung Fu to win that Sanda contest in the 2010 Kung Fu Dream movie. In their Miyagi-verse, Jackie Chan is Jackie Chan the movie star, and Jaden Smith is Will Smith's son. And I should mention that Will Smith is listed as an executive producer in the Cobra Kai credits. So as far as the story being told in Cobra Kai and its potential spin-offs, there is no connection between the 4 Karate Kid movies and Kung Fu Dream. But this is where things do get interesting, because the showrunners for the Cobra Kai series actually did meet with Jonathan Entwistle and Rob Lieber regarding the script and to get feedback from the team behind Cobra Kai. Now, could this mean that they were requesting some changes be made to season 6 of Cobra Kai, which was already underway before production had to be halted due to the strikes in Hollywood? I don't think they would be making any changes to Cobra Kai at this point, but I think they could be looking for feedback when it comes to particular characters who appeared in the previous Karate Kid movies who could also appear in the new Karate Kid movie. So as far as any kind of an integration with Cobra Kai and its potential spin-offs, I think the most we're going to see is feedback and conversations from the Cobra Kai creators, as they've studied the 4 Karate Kid movies about as much as anyone out there. I don't think they'll be connected at all, and I would describe the relationship being something like all the Marvel movies and the Marvel shows prior to Disney Plus, where you had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Marvel shows on Netflix that all reference stuff like the Battle of New York, but the MCU movies never mention events or people in those shows. They existed in separate universes. That's the same thing happening with the new Karate Kid movie and Cobra Kai. Whatever's being told in Cobra Kai exists in its own universe, and this new Karate Kid movie will most likely retcon a lot of the stuff that we've seen in the Cobra Kai shows. The question will be, how will we, the audience, receive all of it? Because I feel like Cobra Kai is really marketed more towards people who grew up loving the original Karate Kid movies with Daniel LaRusso. But this new Karate Kid movie, it sounds like it's taking the popularity of Cobra Kai, but marketing a new Karate Kid movie to a new, younger generation of potential Karate Kid fans. So what I'm saying is, look, y'all, it sounds like the folks at Sony Pictures said, hey, all these middle-aged guys who are watching Cobra Kai on Netflix, what if we make a new Karate Kid movie for their kids? So if you love Cobra Kai and you've got kids who watch Cobra Kai with you, well, this movie is most likely being made for your kids. But here's something cool to think about when it comes to this movie and how they're bridging the gap between Kung Fu Dream and the Karate Kid. So the majority of the people who watch my channel and my videos are big Bruce Lee fans. That could be you, but I don't know. New people are watching all the time. Anyway, Bruce Lee has a connection to the Karate Kid series. See, Pat Johnson was the stunt coordinator for the Karate Kid, and he's also the referee at the All Valley tournament. Well, Pat Johnson had a small part in Enter the Dragon, and he may have been the coordinator for John Saxon's fight scene in the golf course. That's the scene that Pat Johnson's in the movie. And I say may have been because, well, Bob Wall likes to mention in just about every interview that he's ever done that he was the one who coordinated that fight. Either way, it doesn't matter. Pat Johnson had a small role in Enter the Dragon, which opened the door for him to eventually be the stunt coordinator for the Karate Kid, and he also personally taught William Zabka. Well, of course, we all know that Jackie Chan was a stuntman on Enter the Dragon, and Bruce Lee left a huge impression on all of the Kung Fu stuntmen he worked with before his untimely passing. Jackie Chan, of course, went on to have a huge career doing kung fu movies, and it's why he was a perfect choice to play Mr. Han in Kungfu Dream. So it's just cool to see that these two sides are coming together and to know that Bruce Lee played a hand in all of it. Also, Sony Pictures is bringing this to theaters, and Sony's also working with Bruce Lee's daughter, Shannon Lee Kiesler, for the new Bruce Lee biopic that should be going into production soon. So look, y'all, I'm hoping that Cobra Kai Season 6 will be coming to us soon, because if it is as good as every other season has been, it will do a lot to get the hype train going for this new Karate Kid movie. The fact that Jackie Chan's character is going to be integrated into the Karate Kid series sounds pretty dope. And the fact that we're going to have a Karate Kid who studied Kung Fu, that's very intriguing. I'm really interested in seeing how they pull this off and where the story is going to go. I have a feeling it could be much different from the other Karate Kid movies that we've had so far. Well, stay tuned for more details on this upcoming Karate Kid movie, the new Bruce Lee biopic film, and the new Yip Man movie too. Now, I took a break from the Bruce Lee real fight video that I was working on so that I could tell you guys about this new Karate Kid movie. So I got to get back to work on that video. And while you wait on me to get that story out to you guys, I hope y'all keep training, remember to breathe, and come back and holler at me on the next video.